Hello friends, in the continuation of the structure of protein or the organization of protein, first we have seen that primary structure. In that, what is the importance? Sequence of amino acid, characteristic of the peptide bond, that is partial double bond, numbering of amino acid, that is N-terminal, C-terminal, as well as branch and circular protein. Next, that is primary structure of the insulin, that is giving the best example of the primary structure of protein, proinsulin to insulin formation, as well as importance or biological activity of particular protein in relation to the sequence. That is best example that is given sickle cell anemia. Even a single amino acid change that is giving profound biological activity affected in this particular protein. Now second to this primary structure, that is secondary structure in the protein. So this secondary structure term denotes the configurational relationship between residue which are about 3 to 4 amino acid apart. So in the primary structure, that nearby amino acid, first amino acid, second amino acid, third amino acid, but here in the secondary, the configurational relationship between the residue which are about 3 to 4 amino acid apart in the linear sequence. So basically the secondary structure denotes the shape of the particular protein. So structure is preserved with the help of non-covalent forces or bond. So in relation to the primary structure, what you have to remember, primary structure is maintained with the help of peptide bond and disulfide bond, while secondary structure that is maintained with the help of non-covalent forces. Now further you have to understand about the some non-covalent forces, and they are the particular electrostatic forces, hydrogen bonds, van der Waals force and hydrophobic force. Sometime question can be asked, which one is the strongest bond? So strongest bond, that is covalent bond, and in the protein that you have to remember peptide bond. But weakest bond, that is van der Waals forces. But these forces are helping to make a particular shape in the protein. So first electrostatic force, and that is simply attraction between the opposite charge, means positive negative charge attraction, and that is making helping to make a particular shape of the protein. For this hydrogen bond, this hydrogen is shared between the electronegative atom, and this hydrogen which is shared between this electronegative, and that is also helping to make fold in the protein. Further, there is a van der Waals force, and that is simply made up with the help of proximity or nearby to each other. So fluctuation in electron cloud around molecule oppositely polarized neighboring atom. So that positive negative, but when they are nearby, then only this van der Waals force will present. But when they are far apart from each other, then there will be no van der Waals forces. Further, hydrophobic. Simple. What is the meaning of hydrophobic? Means it is not water soluble. So hydrophobic group interact unfavorably with the water. Basically they are not solubilized in the water and tend to pack together to exclude water molecule, and this attraction also involves van der Waals forces. So basically to repel or remove this water molecule, this all hydrophobic molecule combine together, or we can simply in the protein we can say that non-polar amino acid get together and making a particular group, and that is making a hydrophobic forces. Further, in relation to this particular non-covalent bond, you have to remember there is an ionic bond that is in between the positive negative charge. So that is positive negative charge. Further, there is a van der Waals force that is helping by sharing of this particular all weak bond, but that is helping to make a band or loop in the particular protein. Further, hydrogen bond by sharing of the hydrogen molecule between two negatively charged molecule. That all are the non-covalent bonds. Further, in relation to this non-covalent bond, or you have to remember hydrogen bond, that is basically with the occurring with the help of donating of the hydrogen molecule, and this donation is possible by the imidazole group of the histidine, indole group of the tryptophan group, tryptophan amino acid, serine and threonine, that is so sharing the hydroxyl group, arginine and lysine, that is basic amino acid, that is sharing the NH2 group. But these all are donating hydrogen molecule, but this hydrogen will be accepted by the acidic amino acid, that is aspartic acid and glutamic acid, as well as peptide bond and disulfide bond that will accept the hydrogen, and by sharing of this donating of hydrogen as well as accepting of hydrogen, that is making a hydrogen bond in the protein structure. Further, there is a electrostatic bond that is also possible with the help of ABC, acidic amino acid, basic amino acid, and that is making charged amino acid. So positive charge are donated by the basic amino acid, they are the HLA, that is histidine, arginine and lysine. Negative charge are provided by the carboxylic group of the aspartic acid and glutamic acid, and that is helping to make a non-covalent bond, and that is helping to maintain secondary structure of the protein. Now, in secondary structure, you have to remember it is alpha helix. It is a spiral structure, most stable conformation in this particular secondary structure. So, you have to remember most stable conformation in this secondary structure, that is alpha helix. The polypeptide bond formed by the backbone and side chain of the amino acid extended outward, and that is making the alpha helical structure. Further, it is stabilized by the hydrogen bond between the NH group as well as CO group of the main chain. Further, this each turn of the alpha helix, that is making 3.6 residues of the amino acid. So each turn or one turn of the alpha helix, that is made up of the 3.6 amino acid. Now, distance between each amino acid residue, that is 1.5 angstrom, that is quite nearby in this alpha helix. We will look about the beta pleated sheet and also we will look about the distance. So at present, alpha helix 1.5 angstrom. Now this alpha helix, they are generally right-handed because amino acid found in protein, they are the L variety. So why it is right-handed? Because L variety or L amino acid is present in the nature. So here there is a structure of this particular alpha helical. So there is a right-handed because there is a L variety of the amino acid. So that is the side view. But when we are looking this alpha helix from the top, this peptide bond, that is making a spiral structure, but side chain, that is extending outward. So that is the alpha helical structure. Now this alpha helix, that is making this particular type of right-handed. So this amino terminal and this C terminal, now one turn, that is making made up with the help of 3.6 amino acid residue, but nearby amino acid is far apart about 1.5 angstrom. Now second, that is about the beta pleated sheet. Now this beta pleated sheet, that is polypeptide chain, are fully extended. The distance between adjacent amino acid, that is 3.5 angstrom. That is quite far as compared to the alpha helix. Alpha helix is 1.5 angstrom, but beta pleated, that is 3.5 angstrom. Now it is stabilized by the again this hydrogen bond. So you have to remember alpha helix and beta pleated both are stabilized with the help of hydrogen bond. Now, adjacent strand in this beta pleated sheet can run in the same direction, then it is called parallel, or if they can run in a opposite direction, then it is called anti-parallel. Or sometimes suppose that three chain are there and they are running in a same direction, then it is called parallel. One chain is one direction, second chain in the another direction, then it is called anti-parallel. But sometime in this beta pleated sheet, both the variety that can be seen in a single protein structure. So you have to remember silk fibrin, that is containing anti-parallel, while flavodoxin, that is containing parallel type of the beta pleated sheet, while carbonic anhydrase, that is important enzyme in our body, that is containing both parallel as well as anti-parallel beta sheet. Further, this beta sheet here in the structure, you can see that particular end side, and that is extending outward towards the C terminal side. So that is one direction, and opposite direction that is going. So that is example of the anti-parallel beta sheet. Further, this anti-parallel, so that is one side over the one direction, that is going by a polypeptide chain, second polypeptide chain going in a opposite direction, and third polypeptide chain, that is also again a opposite direction. So there is a side view and top view of the beta pleated sheet in the antiparallel. But same thing, suppose three polypeptide chain going in a same direction, so that is called a beta pleated sheet with a parallel direction. That is particular side view of the particular beta pleated sheet. So there is a parallel and anti-parallel beta pleated sheet. Further, secondary structure, you have to remember shape of the particular protein. So shape is determined with the help of secondary structure. Next, that is tertiary structure. Tertiary structure, that is called a three-dimensional structure of the whole protein. So amino acids which are far apart from each other in a linear sequence but are close in the three-dimensional aspect. Suppose if 100 students are sitting in a lecture hall in a row of 1 to 10, then 1 to 10 one row, second that is 11 to 20, third that is 21 to 30. So this 1 to 10 in a linear sequence, first amino acid and 10 amino acid, that is far away, or we can say that in a linear sequence 1 to 11, that is also far away. But suppose there is a sequence that is 1 to 10, then 11 to 20 and 21 to 30. Now this 1, 11 and 21, but in this arrangement they are nearby to each other, and that is possible with the three-dimensional structure. So these amino acids which are far apart from each other in the linear sequence but are close to each other in a three-dimensional aspect, and it is maintained by the non-covalent interaction, and that non-covalent, that is all except hydrogen bond. So in the tertiary structure, you can remember that all non-covalent bond, that is hydrophobic, electrostatic and van der Waals, but there is not a hydrogen bond. So basically primary structure is maintained with the help of peptide bond, disulfide bond. Secondary, that is mostly with the hydrogen bond, and tertiary structure, that is maintained with the help of hydrophobic, electrostatic and van der Waals force. Now in this tertiary structure also you have to remember one important thing, that is domain. Now what is a domain? That is a term used to denote a compact globular functional unit of the protein, and that is indicating a domain part of the protein. But before that, we will understand that how this three-dimensional structure of the protein is maintained. So in this tertiary structure, a particular shape of the protein is given, and this shape is possible with the help of this making of the hydrophobic bond, disulfide bridge, as well as ionic bond and this hydrogen bond. All these bond together, that is helping to make a particular shape of the protein, and that is called three-dimensional structure of the protein, and that is determined, or that is called tertiary structure of the protein. Now further in this tertiary structure, you have to understand about the domain. So domain, that is relatively independent region of the protein and may represent a functional unit. Now here best example is given, or I can say that best example for the tertiary structure, how you can remember domain. So simple, there is a particular protein in our body, that is hemoglobin. Hemoglobin have the basic function to transporting of the oxygen. Now oxygen, that is attached over the heme portion as well as in between the heme portion and globin chain of the hemoglobin. Now in the hemoglobin there are about 141 and 146 amino acid chain, that is alpha chain and beta chain, but all amino acid of the alpha chain and beta chain is not attaching over the oxygen. Only particular histidine molecule of the hemoglobin, that is attaching over the oxygen. So this histidine, that we can say as a domain part or the functional unit of the hemoglobin. So that is indicating domain part of the hemoglobin, and usually this domain part are connected with a relatively flexible area of the protein. One more example of this domain, that is phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme, and it is containing three domain or three particular functional part of the protein: regulatory, catalytic as well as protein-protein interaction domain. So here example of the myoglobin, it is predominantly containing alpha helical structure. In this one heme residue, in between this heme residue and this particular histidine residue of the myoglobin, that is helping to make a attachment of the oxygen. So this particular histidine, we can say a domain part of the myoglobin. Same way there is a beta chain of hemoglobin. So particular histidine residue of this beta globin chain and heme, that is helping to attachment of the oxygen, and that is called domain part of the beta globin of hemoglobin. So in the tertiary structure you have to remember two things: three-dimensional structure and the domain part, that is compact globular functional unit. Now next in this organization, that is quaternary structure of the protein. So this quaternary structure, that is we can say that polypeptide will aggregate or join together to form a functional protein, and this functional protein, that is called quaternary structure of the protein. So polypeptide will aggregate to form one functional protein, and that is known as a quaternary structure. So protein will lose its functional when the subunits are dissociated. So basically to working of proper particular protein, particular all polypeptide chain are get together and making a one functional protein. So it is stabilized by the hydrogen bond, electrostatic bond, hydrophobic bond as well as van der Waals force. Now depending on the number of the monomer or number of polypeptide chain, the protein may be termed as a dimer or tetramer. Dimer means 2 polypeptide chain, tetramer that is a 4 polypeptide chain. So each polypeptide chain, that is called as a monomer or subunit of the protein. Now hemoglobin, it is basically made up of the 2 alpha chain and 2 beta chain, and all together making a one functional hemoglobin molecule. So hemoglobin is basically a 4 polypeptide chain, so we can say a tetramer. Same way structure of immunoglobulin G, that is also containing 2 heavy chain and 2 light chain. So there is a 1 heavy chain, second heavy chain and 2 light chain, all together combine and make a one functional immunoglobulin. Suppose that only heavy chain is present, then this immunoglobulin is not able to work. So you have to remember all should be connected together with the help of this disulfide bond as well as other non-covalent forces, and that is helping to make a particular one functional protein formation. Now simple that hierarchy of this particular protein structure, that is you have to remember as a primary structure, that is denoting amino acid sequence. So you have to remember primary structure that denotes number and sequence of the amino acid. Second, there is a secondary structure that is denoting shape. Secondary S means shape, you have to remember alpha helical or beta pleated seed. Further, tertiary structure that denotes three-dimensional structure formed by assembly of the secondary structure, and that is occur with the help of particular different kind of bond like hydrophobic bond, van der Waals force, or hydrophobic bonds. Further, this tertiary structure to that quaternary structure, and that is possible with the structure formed by the more than one polypeptide chain. So here that one condition is that protein have more than one polypeptide chain, then only they have a quaternary structure. Suppose any protein have a only one polypeptide chain, simple example, there is a myoglobin. So myoglobin that is not having a quaternary structure, it has a highest, that is tertiary structure. So also you have to remember when there is a more than one polypeptide chain, then only quaternary structure will be seen. So further, in this primary, secondary, tertiary and quaternary, simply you can remember primary means number and sequence of the amino acid. Secondary means shape of the particular protein, that is alpha helix or beta pleated seed. Tertiary, here two things you have to remember, three-dimensional structure and domain part or the functional part of the particular protein. And when there is a multiple monomer units are there, more than one polypeptide, then all should be get together and make a quaternary structure of the protein. Further, simply primary structure for any molecule, that is denoting material, basically it is made up of which molecule. Secondary structure, that is denoting shape. Tertiary structure, how exactly or which part of that particular molecule is utilized. And quaternary structure, that is final product when it is made up of the multiple units. So here some important protein and their structural motif are seen, given as an example myoglobin, that is containing alpha helix as well as beta pleated seed structure. Collagen, that is made up of the triple helical structure. Keratin, that is coiled coil, basically two alpha helical that is combined and making a coiled coil structure that is present in keratin. Keratin is found in our hair and nail, so that is coiled coil structure for the keratin. Elastin, there is a no specific motif, but superoxide dismutase, that you have to remember anti-parallel beta pleated seed, that is also seen in a silk fibroin, but you have to remember carbonic anhydrase, that is containing both parallel as well as anti-parallel beta pleated seed. So that's all about the secondary, tertiary and quaternary structure of the protein.